I didn't even have a GED or a high school diploma, so I didn't even bother applying for regular traditional jobs. So I always just went for entrepreneur jobs or sales jobs, which actually sparked up my career. The life of an entrepreneur. All right, I don't want to spend all day on my story. I want to pick the points that I think are relevant. First things first, so you know a little bit about me, okay? I did not come from a wealthy family. My family, I came from a family of hippies, like legitimate hippies. And when I say legitimate, you're like, yeah, we were all hippies. Okay, let's battle our hippie, parents, right? How many people in this room were born in a teepee in the middle of the mountains? Okay, this guy was. I'm not kidding at all. Life began July 20th, 1978, in the mountains of Ashland, Oregon. Way off in the mountain. We got someone from Ashland over here? You just love Ashland. Probably Shakespeare Festival. The mountains of Ashland, Oregon. My parents were part of a community of hippies. It was a peace community. They were essentially working on land, improving it so they could live on there. They all had their teepees. One night, everybody went off to this like summer solstice type ritual type event that they did. But my mom was too pregnant to go on the journey, so my mom and my dad stayed back. That was the night that I chose to come into this world. This is the craziest true story, as crazy as it gets. My mom and my dad alone in the mountains, no doctors, no midwives, no nothing. My dad was the midwife. To make the story more fun, my dad is afraid of blood, and numerous times he just passes out when he sees blood. So this is not your best midwife, right? And here's what happened. What happened was, when I came in this world, all overnight, I was born at dawn. Somehow my dad made it through this crazy thing. I think my mom just basically gave birth on her own. And in the morning, my dad, in true hippie kind of Native American fashion, brings me outside of the teepee and holds me up, and it's dawn. Dawn is breaking. And there's a dead tree on the side, and there's a little nest in it. That same exact morning that I was born, these baby falcons were born right there. It was pretty cool. My dad had been watching it. They were born, and they were chirping or whatever baby falcons do. And in true hippie fashion, my dad held me up. The sun coming down, the baby falcons coming down. My dad gave me my Indian name, my Native American hippie Indian name. And for the first few years of my life, I was called Sun Falcon. And that was my name, Sun Falcon. So, before you think, oh, Chris must have had some background like Donald Trump where his dad gave him some money, or he must have come from a wealthy family and had all these resources. I was Sun Falcon in the middle of the woods, okay? We didn't have good Wi-Fi out there, okay? This is, my dad was a sprout farmer. That was his job. He farmed the sprouts on the land there. And eventually they ended up moving to Santa Cruz, California. My dad ended up going to the school there, working at the school, and ended up in a privileged position to be able to be one of the first people to be able to use an email address. He happened to be working in a department at University of California, Santa Cruz, where they got to have emails. So early on, I got to see my dad involved in the very early editions of technology, very, very early, when I was just a young kid. So I was always kind of had this idea, one day I wanted to be involved in this cool technology thing. But my parents got divorced. So on the other hand, I'm living with my mom most of the time, and my mom is on welfare. We have what's called Section 8 housing, which means that the government is subsidizing our housing because we cannot afford to pay the bills. We had what's called food stamps, which means that we're on a government program where they give us a certain allowance to be able to buy food at certain stores that accepted this paper. So here I was as a kid, growing up with divorced parents, and my family on welfare and food stamps and Section 8 housing. And why is that important? It's important to tell you this because that's where the dream came from. That's where it all started. I had this idea to be involved in technology because my dad was involved in technology. And I also had this idea to somehow solve my mom's problems. My mom was struggling. She wasn't able to pay her bills. I knew that a traditional job would barely even be able to pay my bills, let alone her bills. So there was no path that seemed to make sense with a traditional job. I knew I had to do some kind of entrepreneurship to help my family. And that's where it all began. As a young man, I was an entrepreneur. That took me on a journey where I set a goal one day that I would make $10,000 a month and I would be rich. Now, at the time, I thought $10,000 a month made you rich, right? These days, a lot of you are like, hey, I make $10,000 a month and I'm here trying to figure out how to get rich, right? Like, I could barely pay my bills. At the time, I thought $10,000 a month was it. That was the holy grail. And that's how it all began. I went on this journey. Now, was this journey immediate success? No. This journey was immediate failure, followed by immediate failure. Failure after failure after failure. If we had hours to spend together, I would show you the documentation of 10 failed businesses in a row, where I just lost everything every single time. And I found myself on my back, wondering if I wanted to go through the effort even one more time. I would spend money. I would buy into programs. I would buy training. I would go to seminars. I would go to conferences. I would travel 15 hours in a car each way to go to this conference every single month sometimes, just to go there and try to learn from people, trying to figure it out, just to come back home and dig through my couch cushions to try to find enough money to buy a coffee, because the coffee would suppress my appetite for the whole day. So that at the end of the night, I could come home and eat 2 top ramens, which were 10 cents a piece, 20 cents, as my dinner. And then I would somehow figure out a way to go out there. You know, a lot of people go, well, how did you learn all this stuff? You know where I got most of my education early on? The public library, the Santa Cruz County Public Library. I would spend 5-6 hours in the library reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Magic of Thinking Big. These are all books that I checked out from the public library because they had them all. Books on sales. I would start studying people like Anthony Robbins, Tony Hopkins, Les Brown. I could name a bunch of people. Mark Victor Hansen, all these people. I started studying as many people as I could at the public library. They had internet at the public library. So I would wait in line to use this free internet. They gave you 45 minutes at a time. For the first year of my online business, I worked 45 minutes at a time out of the public library. Because I didn't have a laptop, I didn't have a car, I didn't have any money, and all I had was a bus pass, and I needed to kill time. And that's why I learned. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if there's one thing more important than all the training I can give you, it's the hope that I can give you that no matter what your situation, there is a way to figure out how to make it work. There is. No matter how hard it is, no matter what the obstacles are, there's a way to make it work. I grinded, I hustled, I put in the hours. Eventually, I upgraded. Instead of going to the Santa Cruz Public Library, I found a workaround. This is what I call my first loophole. I figured out my first trick in the system. Here's how it went. Now, to preface this, before I give you this first little shortcut I used to preface this, I need you to understand one more thing. School didn't work out for me either. I came from a divorced household. The people I hung out with were also raised by single moms, and let's just say that growing up as a teenager, I didn't have the best sphere of influence and best circle of friends. In fact, out of our circle of 12 friends, me and one of my best friends, George, we were going through like a dozen or so of our friends. Like literally, like half of them are dead. Something happened to them at a young age, or half of them are in prison. And the people that aren't dead or in prison are literally so negative and complaining about life that as much as we'd love to go say hi, it's been hard for us. That's been tough. Now, we do have some friends that have done incredibly well, but there's a lot of we hung out with bad kids. I wish I could tell you that I had an amazing school story, but I don't. I went to 12 different high schools, and after 12 different high schools, I somehow managed to graduate the 9th grade, and then I dropped out in the 10th grade. My traditional education stopped at the 10th grade. For years, I was afraid of being judged on that. For years. For years, I was embarrassed of it. I didn't tell anybody. I was humiliated by it. But that was also, you guys want to talk about the weird way the world works? My lack of traditional education gave me sort of this fear to go out and try to apply for regular jobs. Right? I didn't even have a GED or a high school diploma, so I didn't even bother applying for regular traditional jobs. So I always just went for entrepreneur jobs or sales jobs, which actually sparked up my career. It's weird how the whole universe works and everything ties together. But I need you to understand I dropped out of school because here's my workaround. One day my friend told me, He said, hey, you know they got better computers and you can use them all day over at the junior college. I said, really? I said, well, don't you have to be a student? He says, I don't know. They don't check when you walk in the door. I kid you not, my first year of my online business was at the Santa Cruz County Public Library. My second year of my online business was at Cabrillo College, junior college in Santa Cruz, where literally I'd walk right into the library they had there and use a computer all day long. And I would literally, and what I did there all day long was I studied how to build websites, how to rank them in search engines. Back then, to date myself, the search engines were Alta Vista, that was the hot one, Lycos, Web Crawler. You can't forget Ask Jeeves. There was Ask Jeeves. Whatever happened to Jeeves? Anybody know what happened to him? Where do search engines go to die, right? I want to find out. I'll bet you it's still around. It's probably all modern. Either that or MySpace probably bought it. So here I am basically, in a nutshell, self-teaching myself how to be able to make money online. I would just use Google. Was my friend. Google came out. Google was great. But even before then, all these other search engines, how to build websites, how to, so what I started doing was I learned these basic things. Then I went business to business. Walking around, I got a little briefcase. I got a little suit. Now, I'm broke, you guys. I'm catching the bus to the junior college and spending all day there. I'm broke. So I don't have the resources to be a successful businessman. So you know what I did? I went to Goodwill and the Salvation Army thrift centers. If you guys are from International, these are thrift shops where successful people donate their clothes to give them to charity. And then you go in there, and there's suits available. You can't get them fitted, so they never actually fit you. But there's suits available for like 30 bucks. Somebody probably bought them for like 500 bucks. They're 30 bucks in there. So I went in there, and I bought myself a 3-piece suit, a banker suit. It didn't fit. It was really big. But I felt like a boss walking around in my 3-piece suit. And I got a little briefcase. There was no laptop in there because I couldn't afford a laptop. But it had a bunch of paperwork in there. That really didn't mean anything. But I felt like if I had a suit and a briefcase, I felt like someone's going to treat me serious, right? So I'd walk into business to business. I go to a local pizza shop. I go, hey, my name's Chris Record. And I came over the pitch. Here was my first sales pitch. Hey, my name's Chris Record. Nice to meet you. I'm a local website designer. Now listen, I notice your business needs a website. You can either pay thousands of dollars to these big firms, or I could do the same job, but I can give you college student discount pricing. Literally a few $100 for the same thing you paid thousands for. If you're interested, I'd love to show you some examples. And that was my pitch. And I said it to about 20 to 30 businesses every single day. Now, did I have a boss? No. Did someone teach me the pitch? No. Did I buy a course on it? No. Did I do anything? What I did was called taking massive action. I spent 30 bucks at the thrift center, got a thing. My shoes had holes in them. You ever see dress shoes? They get loose, they start flapping like this. Yeah, they were flapping, and they had holes in the bottom because I was walking all over town. The worst part was all my friends and people, they would laugh at me because I'm the only guy in Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is a little beach bum city. I'm the only guy in Santa Cruz wearing a suit. And these guys are like, oh, you're all grown-up businessman thinking you're going to be successful, right? So I had my first haters. I went through all this. My haters were my friends. I couldn't tell if they were just poking fun, but it was hurting me. Because they were all cool, dressed up all nice, sitting on the wall downtown Santa Cruz, waiting for the chicks to roll by so they could, yell at them, and then they'd drive by and just be like, you're idiots. But that was, to me, that was like, I could be hanging with the cool guys that yell at cars, sitting on a wall at the metro station. Or I could go ahead and dust it off my shoulder, get in my little thing, go, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing it. Even though days and days nobody would buy anything. Nobody would buy anything. Here's my next little loophole I got. Now, I'm not teaching you to do this because I don't actually know if it's legal, but here's what happened. I don't know if it's legal, so I'm going to put a little disclaimer out there, okay? I got to figure this out. Some lawyers got to tell me if I can say this or not. So what happened was somebody said, wait, you're here at Cabrillo College every single day, the junior college, but you don't actually attend any classes? I was like, no, I don't even have a high school education, so how can I get into college? They're like, dude, I think they'll let you in. I'm like, well, I can't afford it. It's like hundreds of dollars for a class. And the guy said, oh, no, you can go to the class, attend the class for like a whole month just to feel it out. And then if you like it, then they'll let you register. I said, really? So I looked at the class register. There was a class called marketing, sales and marketing, and another one called business management. I kid you not, true story. Might be illegal, but it's true. is I literally just walked into the classroom. No registration at all. Okay? I don't know if you could do this, okay? So I'm not recommending it. I walked into the classroom and sat in the back of the room, and the teacher said, hey, you know, what's your name? I go, my name's Chris. I'm just auditing the class. I want to decide if I want to take this class, you know? She goes, oh, great to have you here. Yeah, well, you'll love this class. So for a whole month, I started attending this marketing class. And this is important because it all just gets crazy from here. This isn't the crazy part. I'm in this marketing class, which has like half adults, half kids. I'm in there for about 3 weeks. I don't even think I'm learning anything. I don't know what's happening. Because I didn't even graduate high school. I wasn't the best learner at the time. And so I'm sitting there, and the teacher says this. I wish I could remember the year. I'm going to guess the year is around 2000. It's about 2000, okay? The teacher says this. One of the students asks a question, do you think my business should have a website? And I perked up. The teacher said, you know, I don't recommend it. The internet hasn't proving itself. It might be a fad. This is what the teacher said in the year 2000 in business class at college. This is where I first started wondering, what does college actually teach, right? But the teacher said, I think it's a fad. So I wouldn't recommend spending money there until it's proven. This is where I just like got a little bold, raised my hand, Miss whatever her name was. What do you mean it's a fad? You know, you got sites like Amazon, you got sites like this. I started naming all these sites. I started reciting all these credentials, all these stats, because guess what? I was selling these websites business to business. I needed to learn why they should have a website. So I had this whole thing. She goes, your name is? Right? Because I'm like the guy in the back of the class. I go, Chris. She goes, well, if you think the internet is so popular, why don't you come to the front of the room and share with the class why you think they should have a website? That was my first day public speaking, okay? No training, no experience, nothing. So get this, I'm in front of the class and I give them like this pitch, and the teacher was actually like, hey, that makes sense, right? At the end of this class, remember it's half students, half adults. There's like adults in there trying to like learn marketing for their car business and insurance, a lawyer, stuff like that, small business owners. At the end of the class, as I'm leaving, they all surround me, like 6 or 7 adults. Really, tell us more, you know, da-da-da-da. We're all talking. They go, can you design our website for us? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. They said, how much? How much do you charge? And I was like, gulp. Now, this will help you understand the value I thought of myself. I said, $300. $300 a website. They all said yes. That day, I made like over $1,000. My biggest day, marketing, internet business, internet services. And this is how the story goes. This crazy hippie kid who grew up with parents divorced, hung out with a lot of rough kids, made it somehow past the 9th grade. The school that I graduated from for 9th grade, there was 3 students that were not part of a group home system. All the students were shipped in group home vans. Me and 2 other people were the only people coming to the school on our own, skateboarding there. This, trust me, the only reason I graduated because all you have to do is show up to graduate the 9th grade. There wasn't homework. You know, for 9th grade, they gave us used books from Goodwill as our gift, our graduation gift, right? This is where I came from. There wasn't courses, there wasn't stuff. I learned it on my own on the internet, and I went and did it. That is called the hard way. But I didn't know any other way. And I was so driven to want to be an entrepreneur, I just didn't care. Whatever it takes. It just didn't matter. What was my other option? I mean, what was it really? Work at a restaurant, be a busboy, make a couple grand a month, barely pay my own bills, watch my mom suffer? I mean, what was it? Really, what was it? Go submit resumes, and they go, where'd you graduate high school? I said, Hard Knocks, you know? What was my options? See, this is the thing. A lot of people use their obstacles. A lot of people use all the things that are wrong as your reasons why not to do them. I use them as my reasons why I had to do them. I didn't have money, so I made that my reason why. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have skills, so I made that my reason why to learn the skills to go do it. Right? I didn't have mentors, so I went on a mission to go find some. Nobody had to be there to go in my corner and go, come on, Chris, you could do it. Because what other option did I have? So what happened was I went on that journey, And that business kind of struggled for years, never really made much money, but enough that I was an entrepreneur for years. Still never made that $10,000 a month, that dream income. For the next 5 years, trying to make it work, I never made $10,000 in a month. 5 hard years of being an entrepreneur, sacrificing parties, sacrificing a lot of the dating scene. All my friends are all going to bars and all this kind of stuff, sacrificing all that. People were traveling on trips. I was reading books. I was listening to audiobooks. Every single day, that back then they used to have them on cassettes, right? I would just listen every single day. You know, my TV, I eventually cut off my cable, and then eventually I was like, why do I even have a TV? And I just went and just gave away my TV. Even at a young age, I'm like, this is not serving me. It's not serving me. And I just knew there had to be a better way. So what happened was, I had a dream, I had a vision, and I went to the world of the internet to learn how. Took me years. My goal is to collapse that 5-year time frame for as many of you as possible to as short as possible. Now, if in hindsight somebody asked me, Chris, if you had to do it all over again, knowing it would be exactly the same, 5 years of struggling and eating top ramen and spending every last dollar, you finally make some money, you just go buy some books and go attend a conference. If you had to do it all over again, 5 years of struggling before you ever made $10,000 in a month, would you do it again? Hell yeah! Like what? Really? Some people get so much instant gratification. No. 5-year plan is like college. It's like somebody saying, would you go to college again before you got into your great career? Yeah, college was a great experience. You know what? That entrepreneur experience was phenomenal. From there, started making money. So let's talk about the specifics. Making money. Let's talk about what this looks like. My first $10,000 in a month, which I called a 5-figure month, okay? A 10000, 5 figures. My first $10,000 in a month happened on accident, but it happened by being at the right place at the right time. That's what happened. So remember all those little $300 websites I designed? It's an important part of the story to remember that. I had like 20 or 30 clients that I designed these little $300 websites. Well, Google became this really emerging search engine, and I was right there as a fledgling little, oh, by the way, I should tell you guys, my website sucked. Like really, really bad. Like horrible. If you actually looked at my websites, you would say, someone paid you to do that? You know, like they would pay you to take it away, you know, is how bad they were. Keep in mind, I don't have any programs. I'm using the internet at the college, which is just like limited browsing, so I didn't have any programs. And I didn't know how to write code. When I taught myself website design, I didn't teach myself code. So I didn't know how to write code. Websites sucked. So I got 20 or 30 clients. Google became this hot thing. They all came to me and said, Chris, can you get us listed in Google and ranked well? Now, as a salesman, my answer is always yes. Absolutely. That's my specialty, you know? So, then what I did was I pulled a series of all-nighters, researching everything possible on how to list sites in Google, how to get them all ranked, I probably spent 40 hours straight without sleeping, just learning how to do this because I had a motivation. The faster I learn this, the faster they give me money, right? The faster I can pay my bills that I'm always behind on. By the way, life of an entrepreneur, right? I was always 3 months behind on my bills at any given time. It's crazy. So I learned how to rank these websites in Google, and I started doing it. And then they started getting little results. They liked it. So now I got all of them have this traffic. Then Google did something called an update. Has anybody here ever known about these Google updates, right? Where they shift all the results around? Google did this update to them, and they all got their sites shifted. Some sites went up, some sites went down. I learned the update, experimented, and boom, I mastered it. And I could get any website ranked really fast up at the top. So I went back to all those clients, and I made a deal with them. But here's where the third big secret comes in. Here's the deal I made with them. You guys can all think this way. You can all make money when you learn to get creative like this. Google had something at the time that nobody knew about. It was an accident, and I even stumbled across it, called Google AdSense. Has anybody here ever heard of Google AdSense? It's been popular now, but this was back in like 2004, maybe? No, pretty unpopular. I only stumbled across it because some guy on a blog I was on, he had these ads on the side, and I was like, how does he get those ads? And I went and researched it. That's all I knew about it. So I learned if somebody comes to your website and clicks the ad, you get paid even if they don't buy anything. Even if they don't buy anything, it's called CPA, cost per action. They take the action to click through on the website to like a lawyer's website. That lawyer's willing to pay $2 per click or $5 per click for that. Google's willing to give you like 50 cents of it. So I was like, really? I get 50 cents or whatever per click. Well, I got all these websites ranked in Google. They're weird ones. Cat furniture, cookie company, the surfing company, the skateboarding company. But I got them ranked in Google. So you're saying that I get a commission per click. I looked it up, and I kid you not, everything changed. Being at the right place at the right time for the right trend. Here's exactly what happened. I went to all my clients, and I said, hey, I got a proposal. Google changed their algorithm, so we need to update all your sites. I'm doing better now, so here's my cost. It's either $2,000, I'll do a full search engine campaign for you for $2,000, or because you're a loyal client, I'll do it for you for free, but you've got to put this ad on the right side and this ad on the bottom. But that's it. Which would you rather do? $2,000, you need to do it, $2,000 or these little ads. And they pretty much all did the little ads, right? No, I was all like tempted to find out how well these little ads would work, okay? Then I logged into my Google thing, $100. I was like, I just made $100 in a single day? Like, wait, is this real? Like that really happened? Like that would be $3,000 in a month. That's more money than I'm making right now. That would be like double my income because I was making like $1,500 a month. So I would make $3,000 in a whole month. So I said, this is probably a scam, you know? Like, I just put the ads on and they're paying me $100. No. So what I did was I took all the ads off really quick, right? You're going to think I'm crazy. I took them off and I read through like documents full of the rules, okay? What's allowed? Is this fraud? Whatever. And once I felt like I had it right, made sure it was for the rules, I put the ads back on all the sites. And I designed them all right. Then I went and checked a couple days later in a single day. $300 in a single day. And I thought, I have just struck the gold mine. Now what I did was when I found out that worked, I did one thing and one thing only, which was live behind my computer. I didn't get up to shower. I didn't get up to I canceled all my meetings. I canceled everything. I tried to grow a beard, but I was young, grew little straggling little hairs. And I was living at my girlfriend's house at the time because my house was 200 square feet and her house was like 250 square feet because we lived in these little granny unit studios because we were broke, right? So her house was bigger, it had more space. So I was living with her at the time. And I literally just lived behind my computer for a whole week. $500 in a single day. $700 in a single day. $800, $900, $1,000 in a single day. Then it was Christmas, and I went on vacation and with my family and everything, and I'm there in Christmas. I'm this young kid who's always broke. I'm the guy who doesn't buy anybody Christmas presents. I'm like, well, we should just all give one person a Christmas present, you know? That's the fair way to do it, you know? I was embarrassed around Christmas time. So this Christmas, I was like, hey, I say we just buy Christmas presents for everybody, you know? And that was how I felt. I was so happy. $2,000 in a single day. I thought to myself, what on earth is happening? I kid you guys not. $20,000 that month. I went from $1,500 a month, $1,000 to $1,500 on average, to $20,000 a month in about 3 months time frame. Here's what happens when you're in the right place at the right time with the right trend. And this story is so relevant because there's a way to reproduce this for yourself. Here's what happens. I made a very gutsy move, the biggest decision of my life at the time. Something that everybody said I was crazy and nuts for. I went to my best friend, who's probably even here this weekend, George, and I said, George, look at this. This is crazy, right? I said, we have to move. He says, what do you mean move? I said, we have to get the hell out of here. The city. We have to leave the city. We have to move this week. He's like, why? I go, George, all of our friends out here that we hang out with are negative. Everybody just parties all the time. We don't have any positive influence. It's super expensive to live here. We need to go hibernate somewhere for 6 months and make money. And he says, where should we move to? Now, keep in mind, I have to tell you why we moved. We were also in a network marketing company at the time. And I can't tell you the name, right, what it is, I think, because the lawyers say you can't be saying all these other names. But let's just say that they sold soap, and they're like been around for like 50 years. So I was in this company not making any money, but they had weekly meetings. And my biggest obstacle to success was that I would be on my computer and be like, there's a meeting. I have to go because otherwise everybody's going to think like I'm not a good leader. So, I got to get there. I got to go pay my $5, sit in the back room, hear the same presentation I heard already 100 times with no guests, and then shake some hands, then go to the IHOP afterwards and eat food I can't afford, in a suit that's uncomfortable, choking me. Or I could sit here and make $1,000. George, we have to move, immediately. He goes, how far? Far enough away where we can have an excuse that we're too far for the weekly meetings. I kid you not, we moved 3 hours away to avoid going to multi-level marketing meetings every week. It's crazy. But that move, we moved to a new city. We literally got these little massage chairs, built like a little home theater, screen projector setup, and we sat there and we worked in front of this screen about 15 to 18 hours a day, every single day. And we smashed it. We crushed it. My first 6 figures ever. So listen, why is that story important? That story's important because I was just a young kid with no skills who wanted to somehow figure out a way to beat the system and beat the odds and make it work. I struggled for 5 years trying everything I could, but I didn't give up. And I never complained. I never once complained. 15 hours each way to a conference. All right, I'll just listen to audios the whole way. Make it, something, oh man, that's $300. I'll figure out a way to make it happen. No matter, I was living in a 250 square foot studio with 2 other roommates. You know what I'm saying? I got the couch because it was my place. They slept on the floor. True story in the future. That friend Steve who slept on the floor, he makes millions of dollars now in another business. He slept on my floor. He mowed lawns to try to make a car payment. And he went on to make millions of dollars. If the dream is big enough and your desire is big enough, then you're going to figure out a way to make it happen no matter what, period. And that's the key. So the whole point of this weekend is to teach you lots of strategies, but it doesn't matter until you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and do whatever it takes. If you don't have a whatever it takes attitude, if you're not willing to look failure in the face and just keep going after it, you won't succeed with these little strategies you're going to learn. You just won't. Everybody says all the time, well, Chris, yeah, rah, teach me how. But everybody I teach how, the number one difference between those that succeed and those that don't is that person would have succeeded anyways. They were driven to succeed anyways, right? You steer somebody who's already just dedicated to success. You steer them in the right direction, it always works. It works. They're going to do it anyways. I was that kid. I was a young, hungry kid to do it. Okay, my story from there goes on lots of ups and downs. I don't want to go into any more. I've already spent enough time on the story. That was my first 6 figures. Let me skip to my first 7 figures. My first 7 figures came a decade later. It's important for you to understand this. 5 years of grinding before I ever made enough money to move out of this little studio. Okay? 10 years of working hard and hustling to maintain a 6-figure income, but could never break through that illustrious millionaire status until something happened. I was reading this book. Now, first of all, it all started with this guy, Robert Kiyosaki. I'll give him credit because when I first got the seed planted, I was reading this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for the 5th time. And the 5th time, something different hit me. Or it might have been Cash Flow Quadrant or one of this guy's books. And I read a lot, hundreds of books. So something different hit me. He made a statement. It's easier to buy an apartment complex than it is to buy your own single-family residential home. That was a statement he made. I'm going, yeah, right. Give me a break. My dad bought his house. He's not going to go out there and buy apartment complexes, take on risk and all that. But Robert Kiyosaki went on to say, no, get this. When you buy a single-family residential home, your own home, the bank wants to see your credit. They want to know that you have the ability to pay. If you're an entrepreneur, it's twice as hard. They want to see you have a job with a paycheck. They want to see you can afford it, that you don't have too much debt. It's all based on you. And Robert Kiyosaki said, but when you go to buy an apartment complex, you can't be based on you. You don't make enough money to afford to pay for all that. So it's based on other metrics. It's based on a lot of other metrics. It's based on the deal. What does the deal look like, right? What is the value of the place? What is the cap rate? How many people are currently tenant? What's the vacancy? How many people are in there? What's the potential of this? The bank looks at the deal. So when you buy your own home, the bank looks at you. When you're buying apartment complexes, the bank looks at the deal. And then he said, there's also all kinds of big money, people with big money that won't even touch little basic single-family residential homes. But you get into $5 million plus, $10 million plus properties, and there's people with big money that are looking to put into stuff like that. And it clicked with me for the first time when I heard that. The second time it clicked with me was when I was sitting down and I paid $1,000 for a lunch, $1,000, one lunch with a millionaire. There was a millionaire I met, and this guy tried to get him to coach me, and he wouldn't. He wouldn't coach me. And I said, all right, how about this? I'll give you $1,000, and I'll buy the meal. I'll give you $1,000 for an hour session. And that hour session, you just let me ask you any questions I want, and that's what I did. And I didn't. And how was he in my town? No. 8 hours away from my house that I drove for this 1 hour meeting. And I met with this millionaire, and he made a very profound statement. And he said, you know, Chris, it's easier to make $1 million than it is to make $100,000. I go, how on earth is it easier to make $1 million? That's 10 times harder, right? He goes, no, you're thinking that hard work makes money. If hard work made money, then look at all the hardest working people in the United States here. He goes, most of them have some of the lowest income jobs. He goes, you got to realize, look around. What are the highest paying jobs? When you look around at like all this stuff, who actually owns the stuff? You're looking at the people working inside of it. Who actually owns that stuff? Someone's making money. They're not even there. The hardest working people don't always make the most money. He says, you're thinking in the old paradigm. See, to make $100,000, you got to roll your sleeves up and work hard. He goes, to make $1 million or $5 million or $10 million, you can't just roll your sleeves up and make $10 million. I said, well, how do you do it? He goes, it's all working smart. It's a completely different level of thinking. Plan A, if you execute, can make you $100,000. Plan B, if you execute, can make you $1 million. You're going to work just as hard regardless of the plan. And right then and there, I was like, in my mind, I'm like, this is already worth $1,000. You know, like, so I want this simple concept to resonate with you. Whether you choose plan A or plan B or plan C, you're going to work just as hard. Most of you probably already work sleepless. Some of you are probably sleepless right now. You already work hard. It's important to choose a plan of action that isn't just roll up your sleeves and just work hard. It's important to choose a plan that has leverage. It's important to choose a plan that has scalability. It's important to choose a plan that if it works at this level, then it could work at 10 times or 100 times more. You've got to choose the right path. See, what was wrong with where I was is I was making 6 figures every single year, and I was capped. I was never able to break through. It never dawned on me that I was on the wrong path. It never once dawned on me until I had that discussion. Okay? So what I did was I got on a different path. The path that I got on was I went and I found people who were making millions of dollars that I felt were somewhat similar, people I could somehow model after. I went and I found people making millions of dollars, looked at what they were doing, and I reverse engineered it. Okay? I want to teach you guys something very powerful. Success leaves clues everywhere all around you. Okay? I found somebody, I don't need to name all their names, some of them might even be in the room that I modeled after. I found people that are making $5 million, $10 million a year, and I'm sitting there and I'm studying everything about them. What are they doing? And I found a lot, in the internet marketing, in the online marketing world, what are they doing? I found a lot of similarities. And I said, okay, I actually made my own list of things that I needed to do. The list of things I needed to do was, and I'll tell you the basic list I had that day. I reverse engineered millionaires. Here's what it was. They all had automated systems in place, all of them, meaning that they could take off for like a month, but they had funnels, sales funnels. Everything was automated. They had pages. Somebody would land on a page, take an action, go to the next page, take an action. They would start receiving automatic emails, do this, and then they would have like, buy this course, and the course was already developed. And I was like, wait, that person is not even there. That person could be in Hawaii for a month, and they're still making money. They all had automated systems. The second thing that they all had, every single person, every single one that I looked at, they all had a source of massive traffic. Okay? Massive amounts of traffic. Most all of them paid, with the exception of one that I modeled after, which was all free because they built a massive presence online. But they all had pretty much paid advertising, but they had figured out how to create an automated system that made money and push a lot of traffic to it. And what they did, one more thing they all did, was they all built an email list, a big email list, where anytime they wanted from anywhere in the world, they pop open their computer, they send out an email, go, hey, I found this great offer, here it is, here's a little bit about it, here's why I think it's wise, and boom, they sent that out. In its simplicity, there was 3 things they did. They became masters of sources of traffic to get a lot of people looking at their stuff. They became masters at building an email list, a big, huge email list, because that was a resource, an asset. And they became masters at converting sales funnels. All automated, systematized, and scalable. This revolutionized my career. All I wanted to do was break out of that six-figure mark, but it revolutionized it. It instantly drove me to seven figures the year that I applied it. The first 12 months I applied this same methodology that I'm going to teach this weekend. Grew to $1 million a year. Then, instantly, within a matter of less than 12 months, grew to $1 million a month. And now is growing to millions of dollars per month. And I'm actually taking a step backwards right now financially before taking 2 steps forward. Otherwise, it'd even be bigger right now. As crazy as that sounds, right? So here's the deal. Create traffic, capture leads, convert sales. I built a step-by-step system to teach this called Create, Capture, Convert. 3 C's. That's why I call this my 3C conference. That's why you see a lot of 3C on the branding. Create, capture, convert. So what I did in 2000 and here's how the story goes. In 2013, I first met some guys that were making a lot of money. Okay, the first guys I met in 2013 that were making a lot of money were these guys that were doing something called print on demand. Raise your hand in here if you've heard of print on demand online selling. Just curious. Okay, like half of you. First set of people that I met that were really making good money, print on demand. What they were doing is they were coming up with designs, putting them on clothing, and then selling them directly on Facebook using Facebook ads. So here's how it works. You come up with like a little thing that says like, this girl loves pit bulls. All right, simple shirt, like a little pit bull on it or something like that. Real generic, no brand, no nothing. This girl loves pit bulls. And then you go use Facebook ads and you target women who are ages, 25 to 45 or something, who live in these certain areas where they speak English and have credit cards, and you go down and choose one more interest, who love pit bulls. Or you choose like pit bull related stuff. So you're targeting women in a certain age range who are your target market who like pit bulls, and you show them a t-shirt that says this girl or this woman or this mom loves pit bulls. You do one more thing, women who are moms who like pit bulls. You just go right to Facebook. Women, mom, pit bulls, 21 or 25, 35, place. Just like that. And you have a website that sells a t-shirt. Now, I used to think you didn't make much money off t-shirts. But these t-shirts, you sell it for 20 bucks, you make 10 bucks. Pretty good, right? Sell for 25 bucks, you make 15 bucks. So, this is that path. This is a path. That's what I'm saying. I was on this path of work hard. Here was a completely different path. I never thought of it. Create a design, maybe create 10 designs, do a little bit of advertising, find one that sells, and then dump a lot of advertising into it. Sell it for $25, okay? Spend about $5 in advertising to get a customer, you make $10 in profit. Okay? Sell 1,000 shirts, you just made $10,000. Sell 2,000, you made $20,000, right? Scalable. So I started doing that immediately, 6 figures in income, pretty effortlessly doing that. Okay? I did about 20 different designs. One of them hit big. I made like $40,000 in profit off that one shirt that hit big. And all the other ones failed. But it was fine. Right? So this is where I got started. Then that transitioned. I thought, let me see who else is making money. People who were developing courses, product launches, were making money. I watched these people. How are these people making millions of dollars? They're creating courses and launching them. So guess what I did next? Everybody was saying, Chris, how do you do this Facebook ads? How do you do it? Teach me. So I created a course on Facebook advertising. Did little videos, basic little tutorials, taught people Facebook advertising. And then released it. I didn't know what I was doing. That course went on to do $500,000 in income in its first year. It was so popular, I did version number 2. Version number 2, a year later, did $850,000 in income in 5 days, in its first 5 days. Do you see how that path is different? Here was a path where I'm grinding all year long to make $100,000 or $200,000, and instantly I change directions, start working smart, and in 5 days make $850,000. Then I thought, what else can I launch and create and teach? So I launched a series of about 10 products that year. Products ranging from $500,000 in a week to $2 million in a week. Started making millions of dollars launching products, right? That's the path of how I quickly scaled from 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures.
focused on my business. Boss life, tech academics, tracking progress like Fitbit. Got this office and we killing it. Lifestyle is limitless, got love for life and we live for this. Teaching everybody structured education with a class and a syllabus. Gift of gab's ridiculous, when I flip the raps like a gymnast. Magnificent, when I'm up in the mix, the beat drops and it hits with a quickness. Loving the game cause I am developing. Every day I'm focused on killing it. Back in the days when I was crazed, living the life of graffiti and felonies. I will go back every now and again. I'll look at my life and how bad I had been. I narrowly made it away from the life of my friends. Several up in the pen, and several off on the bench with a syringe, living up under a bridge. Friends are giving their life for their friends and never were given a chance. No wonder they never advanced. Hopping up over the fence, running away from the cops, tagging my name on the spots, doing it all for the props like I'm a boss. We got the city on lock, climbing up over the rocks, painting my name with the tops. I was like giving a thought, living the life of a hustler until I got caught. Damn. Check to check and cash advance, Section 8 and food stamps, skateboards and baggy pants, big respect and beat up vans, fat cabs and Krylon cans, tagging walls and tall cans, drinking till we can't stand, wake up, do it all again, trying just to be the man, so I need a bigger plan, stuck up in this quicksand, looking for a fix, damn, feeling like a failure, but when you got a big dream, you can break through anything, go pursue your destiny, and here in the moment I'm feeling it now, I feel like a trigger went pow, I feel like I can figure it out, I look at my life as a game and I'm leveling up when the haters keep tearing me down, I'm beating them now, I'm reading a book every day with the power to take over cowardly thoughts in my mind. I'm feeling them right with a voice up inside, reminding me why then I visualize living a beautiful life, never been governed by time, traveling up in the sky, I'm off in Dubai, feeling invincible, I am willing to sacrifice, working by day and then learning by night, taking my pain and saving it right, following up with a plan to make it expand and make it up out of this grind, investing it back in my mind. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Gotta keep it simple because life is controversial. Traveling a road paved with failure and reversal. Dedication's crucial when you're building out your future. People talk trash, try to tell you that you're worthless. Chasing down a dream so big it makes you nervous. Motivation comes when you finally find your purpose. Hate is always greater when you're breaking through the surface. So every day I'm focused on the hustle. Must embrace the struggle, it's like building up a muscle. Your mind is like a temple, it's like building up a castle. Life is never simple when you're painting your Picasso. Mentally I'm mentored by these beats and instrumentals. Motivation comes from enemies who seek to insult. Lyrically I'm lifted by these words of individuals. Spiritually I'm gifted by this recent surge of influence.